Yeah?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outlaw Picks podcast. Today, we are discussing this weekend's card, headlined by Johnny Walker against Jamahal Hill, which has got some bangers on it, Jamie. Thank you for joining me again.
Has. Nice to
be
back.
There are some really good fights on this card that are like, you just wouldn't even pay attention to them. If they were like on the main card of a Cage Warriors, they would steal the show there as well. Do you know what I mean? There's some real fun ones on this. Okay, before we get into the fights, let me just give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Packed Coffee. I keep knocking this Space Marine over. I'm going to have to fix that. Packed Coffee. You can see this bag is now starting to dwindle. I had some more. Honestly, Jamie, you've got to get some of this. So I had this again this morning. It is absolutely delicious, this coffee is. So the deal with Packed Coffee is that they've cut out a load of links in the supply chain, so they pay a much greater proportion of the profits direct to the farmers. If you enter the code OUTLAW at checkout, you'll get one of these free brewing kits as well, the V60, which is excellent. So make a pack to make better coffee. It's packedcoffee.com, P-A-C-T coffee.com. There's loads of different subscription options you can get on there. You can decide what you want. You can stop it and change it and alter it. Pause it anytime. It is fantastic stuff. Make sure you get on there. And if you enter the code OUTLAWED at checkout, you will get one of the V60 drippers for free. This is fantastic stuff. And it's delivered right to your door, Jamie, so you never run out of coffee.
That's nice. Don't have to go outside.
Exactly. And our other sponsor, our good friends at Merino, Unbound Merino. We love this stuff, as you can see, as we're always wearing these. And I'm actually wearing the socks right now, but I'm not going to show you because you don't need to see my feet. But they're brilliant. If you're doing any kind of long hiking or long walks or anything like that, you've got to get yourself some of the Unbound Merino. My dad's actually doing the coast to coast walk in June. He's going from one side of the UK to another, and I think it's 192 miles.
Jeez, that's a long way.
And it specifically says in all of the books you've got to get merino socks because you will have blisters for days if not. So Unbound Merino. So it's 15% off if you use the code OUTLAW, and if you spend over $100, you will get free shipping in the US.
Yeah,
amazing stuff. We love Unbound Merino. Thank you for your support. Okay. Jamie, tell me about UFC 271. What were your thoughts?
it was great. I mean, it lived up to the hype for sure. And my standout performance, I would say, was probably Cannonier.
Mate, he looked awesome. I watched it again today.
Yeah,
so good.
And he just looked like it was. I didn't think he was in danger when he got caught in the choke towards the end of at the end of the first round. Because like you said, if he felt he was in danger, he would have tried to scramble out of it.
Yeah.
He knew he had the time just to kind of not waste energy and let it ride it out.
Yeah. You see it with some of the boys at the gym. I was watching it today. Like sometimes we'll be doing back escapes and they'll be caught in like a half submission, but they'll be able to see out the corner of their eye that the timer's going, or I will have yelled, 10 seconds left. Because anybody in a tight submission, I kind of want them to get into the mentality of, okay, just We'll give this round, even if we need to. We might have won the whole round. We don't need to fight out of this position and prove anything at the end of the fight. And they just hold out. You see these kind of buried necks and these kind of very bloodshot faces. And then they go, time. And they go, okay, back to the stool. Let's go.
Yeah. Is that a little bit dangerous sometimes when you think you are safe? And because it only takes a second just to be like,
well, that's the thing, because you do see some people, they go to sleep pretty quickly, don't they? Like, we saw a couple of rear naked chokes on that card, and they were like, they were eyes open asleep. But it is risky, I guess, but I don't know. I think a lot of the time people, they'll go to sleep in the choke because they're trying to fight it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot to be said for just kind of tucking your chin and burying and just holding your breath for a moment. If you know you've got 10 seconds, you can do that. If you've got a minute, you can't. Yeah. So you've got to try and fight out of it. But often it's the people that are like, they're trying to scramble and they're, trying to breathe. Cannonier just stopped and he just buried his neck and he was just chill. It was a smart thing to do. There's a fight that came to mind just today after we recorded the podcast with V. And it was BJ Penn against Jens Pulver. And you must have watched this because you went back through the whole lightweight division, didn't you, for the show? Do you remember that? How he was in that armbar right at the end of the first round? Yeah. Like BJ Penn had him. It was done and sunk. And it was like the bell rang and Jens Pulver just stood up, went back to his corner like nothing had happened. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, not show that it's affected you.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was good. So, how many rounds did you score to Whittaker? Because Gaethje scored 3. Did you? Yeah, I was the same. Gaethje scored 3, 4, and 5 to him, didn't he? You tweeted that. I wonder if he'd watch it back and change his mind.
Maybe. I just don't. I didn't. At any point in the fight, I didn't think Whittaker was on top at all. Like Adesanya was constantly pressuring, and he didn't sit down once at the end of a round. He didn't seem out of breath.
No,
like he was coasting the whole way, and I think it was just a smart game plan. The only thing I would say is, like we were saying yesterday, if it was a more experienced or better grappler, and when he got onto his back, then
you
could have seen an issue.
Yeah, for sure. You see that his back exposed over and over again. It's I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good scrap. I think Whittaker will watch it back and be disappointed because he'll see, and I think the mentality is what was showing. I think he didn't look in control at any point in the fight. His demeanor wasn't that of a winning fighter, you know. Whereas Adesanya, even though he was not, you know, he wasn't out, you know, he's never really stepped outside of himself at all. But he just kind of controlled it all the way through. It felt like he was the champion all the way through. I mean, I'm gonna watch it back again to really have a good look and see how I score it. But if anything, it was one round.
Yeah,
and I feel like if I tried to give another round to him, I'd be trying to give him a round out of bias.
Yeah,
you know. I'd be interested to. I'd like to hear what Gaethje's breakdown of those last 3 rounds were and what he scored. You know, because I mean, I disagreed with a lot of people on the Moreno Figueiredo fight. I thought Moreno did enough. Admittedly, I've not watched that one back either. But you know, I don't think it's all necessarily. It's not necessarily about how much you do in the round. You know, sometimes it's the quality of things.
Yeah.
There were a couple of fights like like V and I was saying about the Arlovski fight against Van der Aar. Although Van der Aar outlanded him, I felt like Arlovski was running the show the whole time. It's weird, isn't it? It's like there's almost like a subconscious judgment that we make as well.
I think it's the body language. You know, when someone's more, it just seems like they're pressuring and their opponent's under pressure, and that's what it looked like for Whittaker.
Yeah,
he didn't at any point seem like he was in control.
Not ever. No. It was good to see him try and grapple, but he just didn't do it enough, did he?
No.
I could have done with him shooting another 10 takedowns, really. But yeah, it's a lot to ask. I mean, the thing is, like, I remember going into, like, when I was fighting GSP, I was annoyed at all the people that had fought him before that had stood there and waited for him to shoot. And I remember saying to myself, just like, you've got to throw. He's going to shoot anyway. You've got to throw. You've got to do something. And I didn't. And I wonder whether the conversation in Whittaker's head before the fight was, right, I'm going to wrestle the shit out of him. I'm going to make him exhausted. I'm going to wear him down. I'm going to crack him with my takedown game. And then you get in there and it just doesn't happen. You just kind of freeze up, you know, like Charant.
Yeah,
in that third round, didn't do anything, did he? It's a weird one because you never know how the psychology is playing into the performance or whether the actual game plan was just off.
But why do you think, because Whittaker seemed pretty convinced that he'd won. What do you think that made him think that?
I mean, the thing is, like, we have a different read on the strikes to what he has. There have been times when I've come out of a fight and I've really not felt like I've been hit at all, you know, and then I'll watch back and I'll go, oh shit, he caught me with a good shot there, you know? Like, Gono caught me with a couple of good shots, Akihiro Gono, my debut. And I remember after the fight thinking, he didn't touch me. Like, at no point did he hit me. Like, he caught me with an open hand slap, which was what cut me, and then an illegal knee. But they were the only 2 things I really remember. But there were a couple of times when I stepped in and he cracked me with a shot, and I've got pulling out some stupid face on. Honestly, there's a photo, and I think they even used it on a Topps trading card for Gono of me getting punched in the face by him, and I'm like, oh, it's just the worst. It's quite funny though. You gotta laugh at these things. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Adesanya just looked, like you said, looked like the champion.
Yeah. So, what do you reckon to Cannonier Adesanya? Can he do it? You're buzzing for it.
You're on the
Cannonier train.
I am, and the only reason I think, I don't think Cannonier's going to be as hesitant to strike with him. I don't know what it. I mean,
but then he was against Whittaker, you see, and that's what concerns me.
Yeah.
Like, if you take that fight against Whittaker out of Cannonier's record, other than that, I'm like, yeah, this guy's legit. But he kind of got stifled by the striking of Whittaker and never really got started. I wonder whether that would be different over a 5-round fight.
See, I think if Cannonier maybe goes into that fight with a similar game plan to Whittaker, tries to take him down in wrestling, then Cannonier's a lot more physical.
He's fucking strong,
and he might be able to like just power his way into a submission or like a ground and pound position or something like that.
I would not like to be stuck under him in fucking half guard getting elbowed. His elbows standing were bad enough.
Oh, geez, yeah.
But
yeah, it's hard to go against Izzy because of who he is. But I would like to think that Cannonier had a decent chance. Yeah,
I'm definitely excited to watch it. I really am. Okay, shall we move on to the fights this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have to forgive us because as we were researching for this, the card kept fucking switching. It was like musical chairs. So halfway through research, we lost the Bautista against Khaled Taha fight. We've not exactly figured out why, but we have taken that out the show. If there are any changes or additions or whatever, the main event was removed to next week. Next week, is that right?
Yes, the co-main on the Colby Masvidal now.
Banging. That's not next week, is it?
No, sorry, it's March the 6th, that one. So there's a card in between and then...
It's coming fast, that, isn't it? I need to get on that breakdown. I didn't realise. That needs to be recorded soon. Holy shit. Right. That's 3 days work, I didn't think. Okay. So the main event's moved. The new main event now, obviously, is Johnny Walker, Jamahal Hill. The co-main event was Kyle Daukaus against Julian Martinez. Martinez is out. He's been replaced with Jamie Pickett. It's been switching and changing all the way down this. The first one we've got on the card is Johnathan Pearce against Christian Rodriguez. Yeah. Now, I had a lot of fun researching this kid, Christian Rodriguez.
I did as well.
So one thing that is interesting and worth noting immediately from him. First of all, he's 7-0 undefeated. He was 4-2 as an amateur, only ever lost by decision. He missed weight on the Contender Series, and that's probably why he didn't get a contract, because that was a really good performance.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why he didn't, because I thought he looked really impressive in that fight.
Yeah, it was against Tracy Cortez's brother, wasn't it?
Oh, was that? Oh,
yeah, that's
right,
who it was. And he was all over him. He looked really good. Yeah. Felder was on commentary, who's one of his old training partners, and was really talking him up and stuff. But so that was supposed to be at 135. That was supposed to be at bantamweight. He missed weight by a couple of pounds. It wasn't a lot. I mean, he wasn't over massively. But of course, that's going to work against him if you're trying to get a contract. So then he's had one more fight since. His next fight was a catch weight against a guy at 150 pounds. And now he's coming back at 145. So this, as far as I understand, is his first fight at featherweight. His last fight was just a mad catchweight at 150, but then the guy's record was 19 wins and 36 losses. So it was kind of a bit of a run out to...
Was that Ryan McIntosh?
Yes, it was. Yeah. You said that like you know him.
My mate.
It was Ryan McIntosh. It was... I mean, it's kind of an odd one, but maybe that was just a bit of a run out to like test him a new weight class and see how he felt. Of course, he didn't cut the last 5 pounds either, so that might be a question for him. But you've got to think, if he was going down to bantamweight before, I would hope that this is a much better performance from him based on the fact that he's not cutting himself down to the weight class. And I was really impressed with him. I thought his hands were quick. I thought his boxing was slick. He's got a wicked head kick knockout and good scrambling, good grappling as well. Good takedowns, big lifts, slams, good back taking skills. I think this could steal the fight of the night immediately.
Because I think Johnathan Pearce is also... He looked really good in his Contender Series, and he's got like a really, really like high pace, quite relentless almost, like all the way through that fight. He was kind of non-stop. And the only thing I noticed, that he does leave himself open a little bit sometimes, and he kind of rushes in. He got caught a couple of times was it in the Contender fight? But yeah, he got caught a couple of times, like coming in, and I think Rodriguez's boxing is pretty sharp, and I think he might catch him on the way in. Yeah,
I'm excited to see Rodriguez. Just the question around the weight class, we don't know what he's going to look like at this weight. I mean, as you can see on the stats, he's got a height disadvantage, but he's got the same reach. Now, he does move into range pretty quickly, and they're both good at back taking. So there could be some scrambles up against the fence. It could be quite a frenetic one, this. I was impressed with both of these all round. I actually think that Rodriguez is going to have the speed advantage. I mean, Johnathan Pearce is not the quickest of featherweights anyway, and then he's fighting someone that's coming up from bantamweight. So unless Rodriguez is like heavily muscled and a lot slower than he has been before, I think he's going to look like shit off a shovel, as my dad would say. He's going to be very, very quick.
Yeah.
Coming in, smashing elbows, up elbows, really, really mixing up his game. And Johnathan Pearce is going to be tough and give him everything he could handle. I mean, aside from that fight against Joe Lozon, where did you see the position his arm was twisted in that? Like, I don't know how his elbow wasn't dislocated. But I just think he's a very tough, durable individual that can take a shot and can keep coming. And he's got a bit more fight experience, but he fights he fights like he's got loads of fight experience. He's very kind of casual.
Yeah.
Have you seen that fight? It was one of his earlier fights where he kept punching the mouth guard out of his opponent. I'll have to send you the link for it, honestly. It was, I think the guy was called something Baker. Anyway, he kept punching this guy in the face and this guy's mouth guard kept coming out. He kept knocking him down and like starting to follow up on the floor, and the guy kept wrestling up back to a good position. The referee ended up deducting a point because his mouth guard kept coming out.
Jeez.
And at least half the times it was punched out of his face. He's a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. And the thing is as well, even if Johnathan decides to wrestle, his takedown defense against Cortez was really good.
Really good
as well.
Yeah. And he's Rufus sport. He's training around a lot of really, really high level guys. He's got obviously Felder there, the Pettis brothers are there. I'm high on him. I do think Johnathan is a real fun fight, but I do think Christian is going to take it.
Yeah, same. I had Christian. He's got a weird stop sign.
I think that's the typo negative tattoo. The band typo negative.
Right, okay.
Because they've all got that same tattoo. Now, whether he's actually a fan of typo negative or whether he just is typo negative, I mean, it might be that, but. Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah, it does look like a no entry sign on British roads anyway.
Yeah. Colour it in red. I tell you what, Rodriguez has got some pretty sick tattoos. Seen this eyeball on his bicep.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of distracting. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah. Got Rodriguez in that.
Yeah. I think both of us are pretty solid on Rodriguez. It might be a decision, but I do think it could steal the show for sure. Okay, next up we've got David Onama against Gabriel Benítez.
Yeah. So
I felt kind of bad about Onama getting Mason in his first fight.
I know,
up a weight class as well. Yeah,
he stepped in it was really short notice, wasn't it? And Mason is obviously like a high competitor to go in, especially on your debut. I think he had moments in that first round though. I think Mason just obviously like kind of outclassed him in the end, but he did have like good moments, and I think because is Onama part of Gloria? Oh no, it's not. I thought he was part of the MMA lab, but that's later on.
Oh
yeah, sorry.
Different notes.
Yeah, different notes. But yeah, no, he had really good moments in that fight.
Yeah,
I do think Gabriel Benítez is a more experienced version of Mason Jones, though.
Well, there is that. I mean, there's a massive difference in experience, isn't there? I mean, Onama, so he's 8-1, but that one loss is of course that loss to Mason Jones, which was up a weight class at short notice. And the other thing to bear in mind is he weighed in at 153.5 in that fight. And for sure that Mason had cut weight. Yeah. So Mason would have had a weight advantage and a size advantage. And because of the style of that fight, because Mason was hanging on him and dragging him down and drowning him from top position, that little bit of weight would make a massive difference, I felt bad for the guy because he's clearly got some talent. He's got great switch stance striking. If you watch any of his earlier fights, he's very comfortable. You don't even notice him do it. It's a lot like the way that Usman does it. He'll just kind of pep you with a couple of shots and then he'll switch stance and he'll start attacking from a slightly different angle. Very, very slick. Very good. I mean, obviously Benítez had a rough one against, was it Brady Quarantillo in his last one?
Yeah.
That was rough. He tried to turn it around in the second, but still was not able to. Yeah,
I watched a couple because it was the Sadiq Youssef fight I watched with Gabriel earlier, and he got caught in that fight, but he was really like tough in that first round, and because I think Sadiq like put it on him like pretty early on, cut his eye and stuff. He did get caught in the end, but I think he showed like good resilience, and I think sort of like a striker like Onama. Yeah, I think he might. Yeah, I just think his experience might shine through a little bit on this one.
I'd like to see that knee again that he used against Justin James.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was rough. That was a sickening knee. And you know, Onama, I mean, who knows what he's going to do? Most likely, he's going to want to keep it standing for a bit, and then if he starts to get lit up by Gabriel Benítez, he might want to grapple. And you know, either way, I think the experience and the well-rounded game of Benítez holds him pretty steady. I think Onama's got a bright future, but I am going to go with Gabriel Benítez on this one. Yeah,
it was Krause's gym. Sorry, that Onama's in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, no, that has changed things a little bit.
Yeah, it was just in his corner, and he was in his corner in the Mason fight.
Right.
I was like, well, if he's in that gym and that environment as well, he's probably improving quite quickly. And since his last fight against Mason, that
I mean, look at Mana Martinez on the last card. You know, he's just moved there, and he looks really, really good all of a sudden. He's you can tell there's a big difference in his game. So what we got? He's got a 3-inch height. Oh, he's got height and reach advantage as well. Yeah, 10 wins by submission for Gabriel Benítez, 8 by knockout compared to 3 KOs and 5 KOs and 3 subs for Onama. I'm gonna take Benítez. I think he might catch him later in the third round or something. Maybe sub him.
Yeah, I Benítez.
Yeah. Good fight. Another good fight.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Who do we have next? Hang on a minute, my notes are all over the place.
Jessica Rose Clark?
It is Jessica Rose Clark against Stephanie Egger.
Stephanie Egger, yeah.
Now, I remember, I thought this was quite interesting there we go. It's finally played itself through. I thought this was quite an interesting bit of matchmaking, this, so Jessica Rose Clark, he's more than anything, he's known as a Thai boxer, right? She's known as a striker. You think back to that, was it Jessica Alpar?
Yeah, man. I watched that earlier. It was pretty hard to watch, to be honest.
It was raw. But great clinch, great knees, really effective. And then she came in that last fight against Jocelyn Edwards, and she wrestled her, and she held her, and she didn't really do too much. Now they've put her against Stephanie Egger, who's quite happy to stand and trade, but if you lock up with her, she's most likely going to end up in top position. Like, she doesn't even mind if you have underhooks, and that's obviously what Jessica's going to be doing. She's going to be either trying to get underhooks and body lock her and take her down, or trying to tie clinch her and control her and strike her. And either way, that gives Stephanie Egger those judo throws that she's good at. I think this is a they've done this on purpose to go to test Jessie Jess to see whether she wants to try and wrestle again.
Yeah.
Because she made that last one a bit of a boring fight, and I think the UFC were kind of annoyed by it.
Yeah, and was it Bisping? I thought like she had a really good game plan going into it, because she did negate like Jocelyn's striking, and it worked. But like you said, it was once she'd gotten to that, she was like just kind of burying her head. She wasn't posturing up to strike or anything. It was just purely keeping her down so she didn't strike with her. But yeah, I think maybe if she goes in with a similar game plan but improves certain aspects of it, that'd just be a bit more aggressive and like the striking if she is in like top position and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I think she might. But I mean, I have got Stephanie Egger, but for a reason not really to do with fight. Well, it is, but it's a statistical based reason.
Oh, is that right? Go on then. Give me some stats.
Well, look at her average fight time.
Oh, no, you can't pick against that. You can't pick against that 11-11. Yeah. No, I hear you. I'd not even noticed that until now. But now, I mean, I was thinking, so my thoughts are that Jessica Rose Clark, if she has a tight guard and she moves forward against Stephanie Egger, she can kind of keep it at a tight Muay Thai range and keep it at a slightly higher pace. And with that in mind, she might be able to start to land like enough shots to start to wear her down. If she clinches her, she's going to have to deal with judo, and I don't think that's a good deal. And if she takes her down I think Stephanie Egger's going to end up on top position regardless. I think she's going to be able to scramble and kick off and or sweep. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Stephanie Egger winning by decision here. I mean, she was impressive in that last one against Shanna Young.
Yeah.
Good sub defense, good takedown offense, lovely throws. Yeah. I don't know as Jessie Jess can do what Tracy Cortez did to her. And I think that's probably what she's going to try and do, and she's going to struggle.
Yeah.
I think Egger's going to win it by 11-11.
Yeah. I got that.
What, by 11-11?
By 11-11, yeah.
And it's a shame because I think Jessie Jess is a good addition to that weight class. She always brings good. Well, apart from that last one, she always brings a good element a good scrappy element to the fights. See, and I think they're kind of backing into her corner with this one, like making her scrap.
Yeah.
Because Eggers is going to want to strike with her, I think. Good fight though. Good matchmaking.
Yeah, I think it would be a good fight. Yeah.
Okay. Next up is women's strawweight division. Diana Belbiţă against Gloria de Paula.
Oh, I think this will be a banger. Really good fight, I think.
This kind of seems like when you pick the same character against themselves in Mortal Kombat. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Liu Kang against Liu Kang, and they just come with different coloured clothes on. I remember as I was watching both of them, I was watching Diana, and I was like, she's a really good Thai boxer. She's got a nice tight rounded guard. She's jab, cross, low kick, jab, low kick, fucking hammers that rear leg, and then she's got great clinch work as well. And then I switch over to Gloria de Paula, especially her Contender Series fight. Yeah. It's the same thing, like really, really good clinch work, good Muay Thai, nice elbows.
Yeah, I like the look of them both as well. The only thing I'd say is Gloria just seems to be a little bit more reserved, whereas Diana, she goes like full on.
She's a bit wild,
yeah,
isn't she?
She is.
Yeah, a bit chaotic. Fun to watch.
Yeah, really fun to watch.
Yeah,
I think Gloria packs a bit more punch, a bit more venom. She hits with a bit more.
Yeah, let me have a look at what the striking stats say. I mean, they've not had many fights in the UFC, but we might get something out of the stats. Belbiţă was in KSW before, was she not? I feel like I saw her in KSW. I think this is going to be a Muay Thai fight. I think this is going to be a really, really fun Muay Thai fight. Is it KSW?
I think it's going to be really fun striking.
Oh yeah, she lost to Lipski by armbar in KSW. See, this is the weird thing about her record is she's got 3 wins by armbar and 3 losses by armbar. She's got loads of first round finishes as well, Belbiţă. I kind of lean towards experience a bit on this one. I do think Gloria de Paula is a lot of fun to watch, and I think she's got a very comparable skill set. But I don't know. Belbiţă dropped Hannah Goldie with that right hook as well, didn't she?
Yeah, she looked really good against Hannah Goldie, and she took about 3 head kicks in the first minute as well. Yeah, so she can definitely take a shot.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. She fought Vlismas, didn't she?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was De Paula. Yeah, that was very unfortunate.
Yeah,
that was very unfortunate. As she was getting back to her feet. I'm gonna go with Diana. I'm gonna go the opposite way to you this time, Jamie.
Yeah,
I think experience wins the day. You going Gloria?
I had Gloria. It was just the power. I think I just noticed the power difference, and I think the way Belbiţă she did rush into Hannah Goldie, and I can just see Gloria catching her coming in.
Can you? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I think Belbiţă's experience. I mean, it's 20 fights to 9 fights, 6 KOs to 3 KOs. I mean, obviously more fights, so you would expect her. She's got some sub wins as well. We might see Belbiţă grapple a little bit, but De Paula's got good sub defense, good takedown defense, good fight, a good Muay Thai MMA fight. Okay, who have we got next? Have you got Mark Striegl next?
Yeah, against
Chaz Skelly.
Chaz Skelly,
mate. This is, what is the deal with Chaz Skelly? Why is it that he's such a high level wrestler, same as Ben Askren? Why are they shaped like that? Why is Mark Striegl look like an action figure, and Chaz Skelly looks like a SpongeBob model reject?
Yeah, it's strange.
It's odd, isn't it? Because he's a fucking nightmare of a fighter to face. Same as Ben Askren, and they were on that. So a few years ago, there was there was some very rich individual. I don't know many of the details. I just know a couple of fighters that were recruited. There was a very rich individual that decided they were going to build an MMA team called Team Takedown, and they were going to recruit Chaz Skelly and Ben Askren and Jared Rosholt and a few guys I trained with that were like on their way up through MMA, but had come from a really strong wrestling background. Like, these guys were all fucking monsters, power wrestlers. But what's weird is that of all the guys that were signed, the ones that got to the highest level are the ones that look skinny fat, like Chaz Skelly. I can't figure it out, honestly, because like he just doesn't look like a dominant athlete, and he is. Yeah. Same as Jared Rosholt, he was a heavyweight and he looked the same. Same as Ben Askren, he's a welterweight and looked the same.
Maybe it's the unpredictability of how they look or something. People don't take them seriously when
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like a kind of a winged... I don't know how to describe it.
I would imagine wrestling with Chaz Skelly would be like being trapped under a massive bag of potatoes.
Yeah,
I'm a big
awkward.
fan of his style. He's really awkward. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's got a problematic takedown game, which is going to be a nightmare for Striegl, who doesn't really like to strike.
Nah,
Striegl came over from one championship, and he had some really good. He had a good performance there that he paid for towards the end of the fight. Got caught in a rear naked choke, and then he got Saeed, didn't he?
Yeah,
that was Fight Island, wasn't it?
That was a tough debut.
Horrible debut.
Yeah.
Horrible debut.
But he's got, between them, they've got 24 submissions.
That is...
Striegel's got 14.
Yeah. But then, so 14 submissions, and Chaz Skelly's got 10 submissions and 3 stoppages, 3 TKOs. But then, Chaz Skelly's also been fighting in the UFC for a long time. So if you look at the talented fighters on his record, you start thinking to yourself, okay, experience is a massive thing here, because what stood out to me is their records are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right? Like 18-3 with 1 no contest. We can't look at average fight time because unfortunately Mark Striegel's first fight only lasted 51 seconds.
Yeah, I should have
so that
just
is
put
his
like
average.
NA there or something.
Yeah. But I think this is going to be a war of attrition, and I think Chaz Skelly is going to wear Mark Striegl down, and Striegel's going to shoot sloppy and get caught in a DARS or something.
Yeah, I had Chaz Skelly.
Yeah.
Just purely because of his UFC experience.
He is a nightmare of a fighter.
Yeah, and he's awkward. And Mark, he does seem a little bit like sharper in the striking range, but you can tell he's a little bit uncomfortable. And Chaz just seems really awkward and unpredictable, and he could just catch you with something. And yeah, I've gone for Chaz. Yeah,
he's like a more finely tuned Darren Elkins.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like a Darren Elkins that isn't so concerned about the damage part.
Yeah. Undamaged.
Undamaged Elkins. Oh, I like that. I felt bad for him in that Bobby Moffat fight as well. I was glad it was overturned to a no contest. Do you remember that when he was caught in the DARS choke and he was doing the Homer Simpson runaway?
Oh yeah.
He was running, and then he stopped and he kind of stretched his arm out, and the referee thought he was unconscious. I did feel bad for him, but he's a very, very slick grappler.
Yeah.
And I feel like Striegl. I think a lot of people around him will be expecting big things from him. I know there was a lot of hype around him when he was coming into the UFC, because I called that debut when he fought Saeed, and there was just this buzz around him that I kind of felt was weighing on him a little bit. And then obviously when the fight didn't go his way, that's only going to compound that feeling going into this next one.
Yeah.
And Skelly's going to be there all day. You know, he's going to be there all day. If you're beating Skelly, it's it's deep water. I mean, the last person to stop him was, aside from the Bobby Moffat fight, which we don't count, obviously, because it's a no contest. Although it was a tight DARS, and I will give him that credit. Jason Knight stopped him in the 3rd round back in 2017. And then is a decision against Darren Elkins and a decision against Mirsad Bektic. Like, not easy fights by any stretch. And he fought, hard in all of them. And he's got good wins. Like Maximo Blanco ran at him, front kicked him in the chest, and DARSed him within, anacondaed him within 19 seconds. I just think Chaz Skelly's gonna have to work a bit harder for the fight, the victory here. But I think he's gonna sub Skelly. I think he's gonna sub Striegl in like the 3rd round, 2nd or 3rd round, like anaconda or DARS, something head and arm, for sure.
Yeah, I had Skelly will catch him with something.
Yeah.
But, it's just the experience as well. I think that's such a key thing.
Yeah. And the way he attacks Blanco as well.
Yeah.
Like, if he's able to get a hold of Striegl when he's dry, that's strategies. That's problems. Yeah. Okay, are we moving on?
Yep. Was it next? Jesse...
Strader.
Yeah.
Strader against Anheliger. Another good one.
Yeah. I like the look of Anheliger. I think...
I've been practicing it all afternoon.
Yeah. I should have practiced it. Yeah, I just think... I think this might be a little bit... Because he's quite early in his career, Jesse.
Yeah, 7 fights, 5-2.
And Chad's on, I think, obviously, like outside the UFC as well, but he's on a 9-fight win streak. And since the last time he lost, I think it was 2-5 was his record. And ever since then, he's just beat everyone. Yeah, I just think he looks a bit sharper, like a bit more well-rounded than Jesse. And I think it might, just experience might shine through a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was... So the thing that stood out to me with these two guys is that they're both strong wrestlers. You know, Anheliger was really impressive against Gafarov in the Contender Series because he was under real heavy pressure in that first round. And he was able to come through it, you know, caught him with that knee in the second round. Then Strader, on the flip side, he started wrestling because he wanted to get into MMA when he was at high school. But he's knocking people out left, right, and center. Like, if you look at some of his like highlights, he's got these really weird hooks that he throws. Have you noticed? He kind of comes in like, he goes hook, bang,
Yeah.
knocks him out with a headshot.
Who was
bang.
that against? Was it? Oh, it was against Michael Jackson.
Oh, Montel Jackson.
No, that he fought
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Combate 36. He fought a guy called Michael Jackson, and it was like the 4 body shots.
Is that where he stiffed him? And
yeah.
Yeah. I like what he does with his body shots though, because he's not winding up, so there's not a big gap between the punches. Like, a couple of times he kind of level change and shoot in, and someone would tie clinch him, and then he just kind of go bam, 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 bam. Like, there was a guy he stopped against the fence with body shots. I'm actually going to go with Jesse in this one. I do think Anheliger's he's a good fighter. He's definitely a talented striker. He's got a nice hop psychic that he uses, and a few good tools for someone like Strader who kind of comes in a bit square. You know, he could keep smashing that hop psychic into his midsection, and good hands, good takedown offense to striking.
Yeah,
I could just see Jesse catching him, especially if he's confident with that tie clinch because he landed that knee in the last fight. He might clamp onto a neck, and Jesse Strader might just, you know what I mean? Keep hurting him to the body.
Montel was a pretty tough debut for him as well.
Debut.
Yeah, Montel's good.
Yeah, very, very slick, and awkward because of how tall and rangy he is as well. Now, he's actually got a massive reach advantage in this, hasn't he? So Strader's got a 1-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage. He is quite
compact though, Chad.
He is.
He's like quite, because even when he strikes, he like dips and comes up with like his whole body a little bit.
He does. But then on the flip side, Jesse's arms are attached to his ribs when he's punching. So he's got those T-Rex hooks. I've got to watch it back a bit more because I can't exactly figure out how he's getting so much power into them. I think maybe it's because he's a wrestler. And he's like, if you think when you're over under somebody, or when you've got a body lock on someone and you're trying to twist them, the thing that's generating that power is the midsection.
Right.
So I wonder whether it's a familiar position to him to be kind of locked in and just, do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of wrestlers seem to have kind of little short arms when they're striking.
Is it like the torque?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of wrestlers can generate a lot of power, because they understand that they're using their midsection to create the power in their legs and not their arms. You know? Big left hook. I'm going Jesse Strader because he's got a serial killer haircut. He looks like, what's his name off Dumb and Dumber? Floyd Christmas.
Yeah.
Lloyd Christmas.
Lloyd Lloyd.
That's a wicked haircut. You gotta admire that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Chad.
Yeah, it is a hell of a win streak. What is it, 9 fights?
Yeah, 9 fights he's on,
and he did look really good against Gafarov. This is one of those that might steal the show for me. There are a couple of fights on this card. That very first one on the card, and this one. I think we've got fights between guys that are relatively unknown to the average MMA fan that could really steal the day. We could be talking about these fights the day after, and someone could really launch their name off the back of it. Johnathan Pearce, Christian Rodriguez.
Yeah,
as long as Rodriguez looks right at the featherweight division, he's going to be good. And of course, Skelly, and this is a banger. Okay, main card time.
Yes.
Okay, so we're starting off with heavyweights. We've got Parker Porter against Alan Baudot.
I feel a bit bad for Baudot's first two fights. What was it? Aspinall was his debut.
Yeah.
Which is,
horrible.
And
who's now main event in London.
Yeah.
That just shows you where they're different places in their career.
Yeah.
And then Nascimento popped for drugs.
Yeah. Because I was wondering why it was no contest. Yeah, but he did get like pieced up in that.
He did, and he was winning the first round as well.
Yeah.
I will say he looked really good in the first round. He just kind of looked like he punched himself out a bit, like he was dealing with the size and strength of Nascimento. Grappling with him up against the fence, head position. I mean, I can't remember. I don't know what the thing was he tested positive for. I did read
there's
it.
Loads of chemicals and stuff. I don't really know, but yeah.
See, whenever there's a no contest, especially if it's something like that, I don't mind going back and watching it and seeing what I can learn from it. I don't just write those fights off because there will be something. But then, if someone tests positive for marijuana, I kind of like, okay, whatever. I'll watch the fight and I'll take it as it is. There was a fighter recently that got who was it?
Jamal Hill.
Oh, that was it. Jamal Hill. Yeah. And it's just like, whatever. I won't discount the fight off his record. But with this one, because it was I don't know the name of it. It was some kind of chemical compound. To me, that looks like a performance-enhancing drug, and I don't know how it enhanced his performance against Baudot. Did it help his conditioning?
Yeah.
Did it help him get into that second round and get that TKO finish? Did it help put more power into those shots? Although I watch it and I think to myself, Alan Baudot, he did get worn down in the second round. He did get worn down by a guy that failed a drug test, and I don't know what those drugs did to his performance. So I that's my kind of thinking on it, just as a a caveat.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, Baudot's coming out of MMA Factory as well, isn't he? Mm-hmm. So he's training with good heavyweights,
loads of good heavyweights, good heavyweight kickboxers, and. They've brought over a load of those fighters for Aries, and there's a lot of Dagestani wrestlers in there. There's a lot of really strong, powerful, big wrestlers, and some guys they brought in specifically for Cyril.
Yeah,
he's going to be working against a lot of grapplers. Now, I think both of these guys would much rather have a Thai boxing match than anything else. I think they'd both be quite happy to stand there and trade, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see Parker Porter level change. He's got a couple of nice trips. He's got a good single leg up against the fence he used against Parisian.
Yeah.
And he won't be worried about mixing this up, whereas Baudot, I don't think he's got the option.
No.
I think he might be able to... I think he might have some judo in his background, if I remember right, and he might be able to reverse a couple of positions, but he's not going to be able to continue the wrestle, because with judo, as soon as you land, it's done. So there's no continuation after the fight hits the floor. And they've both got a very similar game. Parker Porter's kind of heavy on his feet. He's a bit ploddy, but he's very much jab, cross, low kick, jab, cross, low kick. And then Baudot's very much jab, cross, low kick, but he's kind of on his toes and he's a little bit more Cyril Gann in his movement. I mean, I'm picking Parker Porter, but only because I think he's not. He doesn't kind of break mentally over 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's what I've seen against Baudot. And I can't say anything about his opponent, obviously, because he did fail the drug test, but he didn't look like he wanted to be in there in that second round, and he did take some heavy shots.
Yeah, I backed Baudot.
Did you?
Logically, I did think Parker Porter. He just seems a bit sharper. He's a little bit more experienced in the UFC as well. He's coming off 2 wins, I think, as well. So
he's got 2 3-rounders as well,
He's got a bit of momentum, but I always like to think, when you're on 2 losses, they kind of probably get a bit of fire in your belly. And
True.
It, as well, when I noticed he was coming out of MMA Factory, I was like, if he's been working closely with guys like Cyril and some other like talented heavyweights, then it might just be a matter of time before he starts to show that.
Yeah.
And I'm backing him for this one.
Fair enough. I mean, you got to think, so he's not coming off 2 losses because one of them now no contest, but it might still feel like a loss to him.
Yeah.
The Aspinall one, no doubt, was a loss, but that was kind of short notice as well, if I remember right.
Oh, what, for Baudot?
I think it was a short notice one for him. And then the only other loss on his record is against Dolce Lungiambula. And if you've not seen that, watch it. Because they were like trading, and Dolce, as you know, is kind of wild. He's real reckless, but super fucking powerful. And unfortunately, Baudot just stepped in at the wrong time when he threw this mad right hand, and he just literally stiffed him. Like it almost looked like he grew 3 inches as he got knocked out. He went so stiff.
Jeez.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate that. He's taken some hard fights, and he's still only 11 fights into his career. I think this could be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I will say is Parker Porter's got wicked low kicks.
Yeah.
Like, he chopped the shit out of Parisian with those low kicks, and Baudot likes footwork, and he does stand a bit tall. I think Parker Porter might be able to wear him down.
Parker Porter, he's got a really slim face.
It's weird, isn't it?
For like, if you chopped his head off and put it on a bantamweight, you wouldn't think it.
It wouldn't look. No, you're dead right. You're dead right. He could be a welterweight contender from the neck up. But then, and the other thing, and I really struggle with this, his name, Parker Porter, I just want to say Porker, and I can't not say it in my head. I keep trying not to say it, but it just doesn't fucking work very well. Parker Porter. He's it's Parker Porter.
It's just when
it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, when I was watching him earlier, it was like, because usually if you're a heavier guy, you've got a bit of chub in your cheeks.
Yeah.
He's got like good cheekbones, and it's just like,
mate, that's where I get fat first. My face goes basketball first, and I don't know, I don't get it. There are a few people like this. We have to assess these people's diets, because I've seen a few people that are like. There's a few boxing coaches that are like that. They've got like a real skinny face, but then their body's just kind of heavy. It's weird.
Maybe like you push, you said yesterday with that iron where you push down the swelling.
Oh, that's what it is. Maybe they're just, there you go. Maybe if he sleeps upside down, some of it will fall back into his cheeks. One thing to note that we haven't mentioned is the height and reach advantage for Alan Baudot. 4 inches in height. 4 inches in reach, 3 inches in height. 7 wins by knockout, but then there are 4 submissions on Parker Porter's record. He has Kimuras and key locks. That's his thing. Americanas.
Yeah, he's got a very balanced record in terms of his wins and stuff.
Yeah. Very balanced. All divisible. 4'4", 36 age, 12 and 6 foot. Anyway, top of the weight class, Parker Porter.
Yeah, I'm gonna back Baudot.
Okay. I appreciate you sticking to your guns. Yeah. I think Parker's going to chop him down and stop him. Parker. Okay, next one on the main card. We have Joaquin Buckley against Abdul Razak Alhassan.
Abdul's had a bit of a weird career. Like he's been in the UFC since 2016. And he had his first 4 fights, he won 3. And then the only loss he had out of those 4 was a split decision. And then he had 2 years out. I don't know what for. But then he came back and had a 3-fight losing streak.
And he went up a weight class, didn't he? Didn't he used to be lower? I feel like when he came in, he was a welterweight.
Ah, right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so he came in as a welterweight. He made his debut. Yeah, he made his debut against Charlie Ward, who's McGregor's mate.
Yeah.
Who fights in Bellator. And that was a really fucking odd thing. Did he not slam knock himself out? I feel like there was a weird ending to that. Anyway, so he stopped him in the first round. Then he lost by a split decision to Akhmedov, who kind of showed a few holes in his game and was able to push him a bit. Then he's fought Hamasi twice, stopped him both times. Then he fought Nico Price, stopped him in 43 seconds, and then lost a decision to Munir Lazez. And then, obviously, Chaos Williams stopped him.
Do you think it's maybe a conditioning? Because all his wins are all very quick.
Yeah. I think he's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And I think he struggles to maintain that over the distance. And I think that's where Joaquin Buckley is different in this fight, is the fact that he can fight comfortably into the third round and still maintain power. I mean, you look what he did to Arroyo, right?
Yeah.
If he's able to slow this fight down to a pace that is not draining for him, but he's draining for Abdul Razak Alhassan, he keeps tying him up, keeps making him throw and miss. He's not a volume striker, Alhassan, so it's not like Buckley's going to be backing up and covering and, really worried. As long as he gets out of the way of his first two attacks, and as long as he doesn't get caught with that fucking deadly head kick that nearly decapitated Di Chirico.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
My God, yeah. That was, what was it, 16 seconds?
Something like that. He looked like a drunk guy trying to get out of a doorway that he'd fallen asleep in. You know what I mean? It was like, it's fucking rough to watch people trying to get up when they've been knocked out.
It's funny because Di Chirico beat Joaquin Buckley with a head kick.
It's weird, isn't it? MMA math just doesn't work at all. Yeah. I was... The thing is with Buckley is there's such a high expectation because of that knockout.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, how do you top the Kasanganai knockout? You just don't really. Like you just don't. Like it's one of those kind of things that he might be chasing his whole career. I think the best thing to do is to let go of it, like I think he did in his last fight, and just stick to really nice basics.
Yeah.
Like Arroyo was massive. He was long. He was rangy. He's a good striker, and he wasn't particularly opening up much. And Buckley was like, he was bouncing in, he was changing his range, and he kept testing him. He kept throwing that high kick. I mean, they're both going to be trading high kicks. I am buzzing for this fight.
Yeah.
I just feel like the conditioning and the style of fighting of Buckley into the later rounds is going to be the key for him.
I had Abdul.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yes. I love it when we picked that for him.
It was just, the only reason really I picked him is because that last win, and because he's had he was on a bit of a losing streak, he had some time. I feel like it might be a little bit of a resurgence, maybe.
Yeah. I'd like to see it as a resurgence. I just don't know if this is the right weight class for him.
No.
I mean, both of these guys are kind of caught between weight classes. I mean, they're both 5'10". Buckley's got a 76-inch reach, but you've got to think, like, a good chunk of that reach is the width of his shoulders. He's not like Max Holloway, like built like a fish finger with really long arms. It's like, and then you look at Abdul Razak Alhassan, who's 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. Like that's the same height and reach, if I'm not incorrect, as RDA. Right. So like physiologically, he's not big for this division. Like you put him in there against Arroyo, Buckley's last opponent, and he would look small like Buckley did. So he's got to use his speed and his pace to beat people, and I don't think he's got that at middleweight. That's my concern for him. Do you know what I mean? He's like, he's a deadly force, and if he catches you in the first minute, he might completely take your head off. But if it starts to go a bit later, a bit longer, I don't know, as his muscle mass will not allow him to work that hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope he gets like a first round head kick.
Yeah. First round knockout, that's what we want. This could be over very quickly.
They're both like massive guys.
Yeah.
They're very similar, even like their record.
Yeah. It's 13-4 for Buckley with 10 knockouts, and 11-4 for Alhassan with 11 knockouts. So you either get knocked out or you beat him.
Yeah.
Damn. No, you don't want to be missing that one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So you're going with Alhassan.
I'm going to go for Abdul. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now this is a weird one. Jim Miller against Nikolas Motta.
Oh, right, yeah.
This is a really odd fight. I looked at this fight to see if this was a short notice replacement.
For Jim or
for Jim?
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, I know that, I think the UFC look at Jim Miller now as like, he's fucking still here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, we'll keep getting you fights. You can keep testing these young kids that are coming up. Because I think Jim and the UFC have both accepted that he's probably not going to be a world champion. So he's going to be here for as long as he can be. And he's going to keep testing these guys. Now, if you think what Jimmy Warled does to young fighters in the gym, how he like big brothers them.
Yeah.
Like, there's always the potential that Jim Miller's going to do that. Kind of what Joe Lozon did to Pearce, who was the first fight on the card.
Yeah.
Just big brothered him for the first minute of the fight and got the finish. I feel like Jim Miller could big brother him here. I mean, you look at the record, 33-16 compared to 12-3. And he's had, 37 fights in the UFC, Jim Miller?
Jim Miller?
37, 30, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, 33? Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the amount of fights he's had in the UFC. He made his debut, I'm having to scroll down.
18 submission wins as well.
Well, the start of his record is written on parchment. That's how fucking long he's been fighting. He made his debut against a guy I fought, David Barron.
Didn't he have a heart attack? Or was it a heart attack or...
Was it like, no, he had was it Lyme's disease or something like that? It was something that he was kind of fighting through for a long time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think he'd had a heart attack. Fucking hell, if he did, he's doing well.
Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was. I know he had an illness, or maybe it was cancer or something. I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I'm sure it was something like, I'm sure he got Lyme's. He had Lyme's disease, which is like I don't know a great deal about it, so I'm not even going to try and attempt. But it was affecting his output. Like it was like a chronic fatigue.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And he was fighting through it for a long time. And was able to finally overcome it. But, I mean, you think he was battling through that as well as fighting the likes of Charles Oliveira and Dan Hooker and, Anthony Pettis. Like, you look at the guys on his record.
Yeah. Do you think that that condition maybe did kind of stump his potential a little bit?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know when he had it or how long he was suffering from it for, but I do know it was a good chunk of his career. And you've got to think, I mean, the guys he was fighting and the consistency of which he was fighting as well. Like, so he had 2 fights last year. He had 3 in 2020. He had 2 in 2019, 3 in 2018, 3 in 2017. Like, he's averaging 3 fights a year. He had 4 in 2016. Like, the guy's an animal.
Yeah.
He's an animal. And he's still going at 38. Fucking very, very impressive. I think he is going to be an absolute nightmare for Eric. I think Eric's good. I think he's got good boxing. He's got nice tight guard. He's got good takedown defense. He's got good footwork. I think he's a very talented individual. I just don't know if he's got enough to beat Jim Miller at this stage.
Yeah, I had Jim Miller just purely because of Jim Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe when the UFC give someone like Nikolas, someone like Jim Miller, I'd probably see it as like a bit of a compliment in a way, like, they want to test me to this kind of level this early on. I
mean, I think one of the reasons maybe why this fight was matched was because Jim Miller lost to Joe Solecki, didn't he? Let me just check. Yeah, Jim Miller lost to Joe Solecki by decision, and Motta's got a win over Joe Solecki. He stopped him before he got to the UFC. But 8-6-4 fighting championships, he knocked him out in the 3rd round. So, I mean, there is that. And this fight was also matched for September of last year, apparently.
Oh, right.
But then Miller tested positive for COVID. It's just an odd matchup. Like, all of the matchups that Jim Miller's getting at the moment are kind of odd. Like, Eric Gonzalez and Joe Solecki are not fighters that should be in the octagon, really, with Jim Miller. Like you look at his last 3 fights. So including this one. So he's got Joe Solecki, who's 10-2. You've got Eric Gonzalez, who's 14-5, and then you've got Nikolas Motta, who's 12-3. If you add their records together, you've just about got where Jim Miller's at in his career. It's a massive amount of experience. I think Motta's got a bright future, but I think Jim Miller's going to do this.
Yeah,
I think he's probably going to sub him.
Yeah, I had Jim Miller. Yeah,
I think he's going to catch his neck. Won't surprise me if it's a rear naked choke, especially if he's got his chin up like that. Look. That's bad news. Yeah, good kid. Great opportunity for him. High up on the card, it could be a bit of a sleeper on this card. He could surprise a few people, but I feel like Jim Miller might have his number.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Where are we?
Is it co-main?
Oh, mate. So this is a short notice as well, isn't it? Jamie Pickett stepped in. Respect to him for stepping in. It was supposed to be Julian Marquez.
Yeah.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. Why did he pull out?
I don't know why he withdrew. It just says withdrew, yeah. The injury or maybe COVID, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, this is this is a very interesting one. As you know, I'm a fan of the Daukaus brothers. I feel like Kyle's just not got quite the experience that he needs before getting to the UFC. You know, like Chris, his older brother, it's different at heavyweight. You know, you need less experience because, well, you get less experience because there are less heavyweights around. But also the talent pool at heavyweight, they're either good strikers or good grapplers or good wrestlers, or if you get up to the top, they might have two skills that you have to think about. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're less well-rounded fighters. But then you look at the middleweight division, and the guys you're coming up against have got skills everywhere. And I just don't think 12 fights is enough to be competitive in the UFC as a, you know what I mean? I think it takes a very special fighter, someone like a Khamzat Chimaev, to come in and just blitz everybody and make it look easy. And Kyle Daukaus has not made any of his fights look easy. You know, every one of them has been a bit of a drawn out scrap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Daukaus. I do think Jamie, because he's coming off, is it 2 wins at the minute?
Yeah, and he's 2 decisions, right?
He's been quite active as well. Like, it was in the past, in the past year he's had 4 fights, a couple cancelled, but I like the look of Jamie Pickett in this one, to be honest.
Was that your initial pick?
Yeah.
Pickett, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pick 'em, to be honest. I mean, the only question around Pickett really is what conditions he in, because he's taking it on short notice. But as you pointed out, you know, he's been active. I mean, when was his last fight? His last fight was
January.
Yeah, like literally a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a bit more of a clear-cut approach for Jamie Pickett in this one. Like against Joseph Holmes, he was doing a lot of wrestling up against the fence, even though I didn't really think he wanted to take him down. Like he seemed to want to strike with him until he was striking back, and then he wanted to clinch him and grapple with him. With Kyle Daukaus, I don't think he's going to want to take him down, because Daukaus, in my opinion, has got a good ground game. I know he's not shown it a great deal in the UFC, but if you've got Jamie Pickett level changing and trying to get in on his legs and not doing it with really good technique, he's going to get caught in a Darce choke. Like Kyle Daukaus has got a really long Darcy arms. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he wraps up Jamie Pickett and Darces him in the first round. I mean, he's got what, four Darces on his record, 5 Darces on his record, and 3 rear naked chokes. Like Daukaus is the man when it comes to neck attacks. And I've never been particularly impressed with Jamie Pickett's game all round, to be honest. I mean, his last 2 fights were decisions. Joseph Holmes was considerably inexperienced in comparison at 7-1, and then Staropoli was formerly a welterweight. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, it could go either way. Really, it could go either way. Jamie Pickett would be smart to keep this one standing and keep this one a striking affair. Maybe work on that cut that Daukaus got in the Brendan Allen fight. That was a nasty cut.
I do think it's a more even fight from Julian Marquez.
Yeah,
Kyle Daukaus. I feel like if it was Marquez, I think Marquez probably would have got the win in that one.
Yeah, Marquez would have been a handful. He would have caused Daukaus some real problems, and he would have been really difficult to catch with any kind of neck attacks, because he's got that short, thick neck, and he knows how to defend those darces. I don't know. I mean, like, it's a striker v grappler match, isn't it? I mean, you've got 9 knockouts and no submissions on Pickett's record, and 8 submissions and no knockouts on Daukaus' record. I think Daukaus is probably going to be happy to stand and box with him, and I think Jamie Pickett might level change and cause himself some problems. I feel like he might not want to just keep it as striking game, although that would be the smart thing to do. 4-inch reach advantage as well.
Yeah, I can just see. I just picked Jamie. I think he might get a knockout. I think he might catch him.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Has Daukaus been? I don't think he's ever been stopped, has he? Lost 2 decisions, and he headbutted Kevin Holland into unconsciousness, and then TKO'd him afterwards. That was unfortunate. That was a good opportunity for him as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going Kyle Daukaus. Are you sticking with Jamie Pickett?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Jamie, yeah.
Fair enough. I think Daukaus is going to darce him. I'm waiting on the upturn of Daukaus. He needs to make up for the fact that his brother lost in his last one. Because I am a fan of both of them. Okay, main event time. So 18-6 for Johnny Walker and 9-1 for Jamahal Hill. Slightly longer average fight time for Johnny Walker, but I do think that's been pushed up because of his last fight being a 25-minute one. 2-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage, 15 wins by knockout compared to 5 for Jamahal Hill, and 2 wins by submission compared to none for Jamahal Hill. What are your thoughts?
I thought Jamahal Hill might get the win. Yeah.
Did you go back and forth on it, or was it pretty kind of clear? Yeah, no, I think he's going to do it.
The thing is with...
So make an argument for Johnny Walker for me then. If Johnny Walker's going to win, how's he going to win?
I think it'd be something like really flamboyant, out of the blue. Yeah, I don't think. The thing is with Jamahal Hill, I think he can keep more of a consistent pace over a longer period of time, whereas Johnny Walker, I mean, we obviously saw him against Santos, but he didn't really I don't know if he really got started, to be honest, in that fight.
No. You know, to me, it seems a little bit like there's like an adjustment period moving to a new gym.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it looks to me like especially in that last fight against Santos, because I was impressed with a few things. I was impressed with the fact that he wasn't leaping and going wild and putting himself at risk. I was impressed with the fact that he was using a lot of feints and he was making Santos really uncomfortable. And I was impressed with it that he didn't really get caught with anything massively significant. And we've seen him hurt. I mean, at that Ryan Spann fight where he ran onto a big shot, like every time I see that dude off Family Guy. Inflatable arm flailing tube man, what is it? Electrical inflatable arm flailing tube man. Hi, I'm Al Harrington. Whatever his name is. It's just how his arms kind of...
Yeah, he was a bit Bambi, kind of Bambi on ice.
I think that's the worst thing about being tall and getting knocked out. It was the same thing with Modestus, wasn't it, when he got clipped by Jimmy Crute?
Yeah.
Bless him. Baby giraffe. Yeah. Like Johnny Walker, I think he's improving, and I think he's a force in this division, given the fact that he's big, strong, and conditioned, and he's travelled around the world training, so you've got to imagine he's got a real skill set. He'd do well to train with Yuri Prochazka. I know they're in the same weight class, but holy shit, that'd be a fight.
Yeah, and it's like, do you think he's trying to like hone that that like flamboyancy and create craziness, I guess, in his style? If it's like kind of, if someone takes it and just makes it a bit more like pinpoint and just like tweaks it, and you can still be flamboyant and crazy, but at the right moment.
Exactly. And that's what John Kavanagh's going to have done. Like someone like John Kavanagh's going to have seen Johnny Walker come into the gym and gone, okay, I need to give this madness some structure. I don't want to take any of the craziness away, because he wins with flying knees and spinning back fists. So if we take those elements out of his game, he's considerably less dangerous. And I think that's what we saw against Santos. I think he was a bit too constrained in that fight. Maybe in his own mind, trying to prove his new style, or trying to not prove it, trying to put it to use, basically. I think because the chaos in his game, because there is a lot of chaos in his game, it shows that there's not a massive amount of planning. And I think that's sometimes where he pays, is he leaps into range without having a plan as to what he might meet as he's leaping through air. And that's when he gets clipped and caught with stuff against people that are going to stand their ground. A lot of the time he's catching people and knocking them out when they're covering up and defending, because they see him flying and they just don't want any part of it. Someone like a Corey Anderson or a Ryan Spann, who waits for you to step in and just meets you with power. I think Jamahal Hill might be that kind of person. Like he's very good at kind of standing at range and measuring with his lead hand and smashing with that rear straight. And he's got a wicked body and head kick.
I think he'll be able to read the kind of chaoticness of Johnny. The only thing is, like, it's hard to argue against 15 finishes out of 18
it is.
as well.
It is. But then, you know, the argument is, does he not have the same amount of finishes because he's not the same amount of fights?
I guess,
you know?
yeah. And like, anyone who gets their arm snapped and kind of carries on.
he was not giving up. He'd have carried on fighting with one arm, there's no doubt. I mean, I was impressed with Johnny Walker against Santos. I know he didn't get the decision, but it was a very subdued Thiago Santos, and that's not the guy that we've seen in previous fights. Usually he's the one that goes flying at his opponents. I mean, he nearly put Glover Teixeira out of there. He took Jan out in the third round as well, didn't he? He's a dangerous fighter. Went the distance with John Jones as well with no knees. I was impressed. I keep saying it. I was impressed with Johnny Walker in that last fight. I don't know as he's made the adjustments necessary to be able to put a massive amount of offensive forward, but I also don't know as Jamahal Hill's got the amount of experience that he would need to deal with someone like Johnny Walker if he does start being a bit wild.
Yeah. The thing, imagine like Johnny learnt a lot from that, having 25 minutes against someone like Thiago as well. It was 20? Was it a 5 round?
Yeah, 5 rounder, yeah.
Like even if you don't win, you have the experience within that time frame with someone of that experience. So
yeah, he carried an event. It's not a big deal him stepping up to a main event. This one's going to be a 5 rounder, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this was initially a 3 rounder. So that's another thing. Like Jamal's last fight was 48 seconds, and Johnny Walker's last fight was 25 minutes. I'm just looking now. I don't know as Jamahal Hill's fought over 25 minutes. I mean, he went the distance with Stosic, but that was only 3 rounds. Daquan Townsend, that was 5 fives. Okay, so KOP 62. He fought Daquan Townsend, I guess for a belt. Yeah, light heavyweight championship. Daquan Townsend had a rough run in the UFC as well, didn't he?
Do you think his style would suit that the 25 minutes against someone like Johnny Walker? Because he isn't as like flamboyant or crazy, and he is a bit more reserved and a bit more like patient, I guess. Mm-hmm.
And he's not particularly heavily muscled either.
No,
I mean he's not. You know what I mean? Like compared to Johnny Walker, he doesn't. Like if one of them goes to the gym to lift weights, you can tell which one it is. Let's put it that way. And I do think that's a benefit to him because he's not like Alhassan, where he's just heavily muscled, and if he throws one shot, he's going to exhaust him and empty his gas tank. He can keep going and keep peppering and keep firing. And I think the best game plan for him is exactly what he did against Ovin St. Preux.
Yeah.
Because if I'm him, although I've got a good kick, I've got a good left kick, and I can hammer the lead leg, I can beat up his body and catch him in the head. And Santos did catch him in the body a few times with that kick. I do think it's a good option for Jamahal Hill, but I think he'd be smarter to take the space away from Johnny Walker and do what he did to OSP and just box his face off. That was a really impressive performance, and he was very, very fast off the mark.
Yeah.
And I think if he's nice and disciplined and direct, and he stays, within punching range, it kind of takes away a lot of the wildness of Johnny Walker. He might not be springing with knees and stuff, especially if he's been training to kind of calm down a bit.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's a good opportunity for Jamahal.
Which way you go?
I'm going to stick with Jamahal.
Oh yeah. I keep going back and forth, honestly, because for me, Johnny Walker is making improvements. Obviously the Ryan Spann fight was not going well until it went well, and he's showed how dangerous he is there with a few hammer fists and an elbow. But I don't think Jamahal Hill's going to be trying to grapple with him. I do think he's going to be trying to strike with him, and that's where we've seen Johnny Walker caught and clipped. But then going 25 minutes with Santos puts him in good stead in my mind for a main event. It's a hard one to pick.
Yeah,
I have high hopes for Jamahal. I think he's got a real bright future in this division.
Yeah,
and I like his style. It's aggressive and it's accurate, and there's no unnecessary flamboyance to it. It's kind of the opposite of Johnny Walker's style, which is predominantly flamboyance.
Yeah, I think if I was going to pick, like logically, I probably would, just purely because of his experience in the UFC as well.
Yeah,
but I'm a big fan of Jamahal. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. I'm gonna go the same way, Jamie. I'm gonna pick Jamahal Hill as well.
Nice.
Yeah, although it's a tough one to pick, this one.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of. I'm keeping high hopes for Jamahal Hill. I think he could be an interesting addition to this division. And he's not undersized either. I mean, look at his height and reach. 6'4" and 79 inches. It's not going to be a massive difference when he's in there against Johnny Walker, especially if Walker's standing with his back up against the fence like OSP was. Do
you think some of his southpaw the orthodox as well?
So, but Johnny does switch though, doesn't he?
Right.
Like he does switch. Yeah, it's not like he's not particularly settled in a stance. And Jamahal does switch his stance sometimes as well. If he's against OSP when he was fighting another southpaw, he looked kind of uncomfortable, so he kept switching to orthodox. He kept switching to orthodox just so they were opposite stances. But what was interesting with the Johnny Walker fight is that he was watching for Santos switching to southpaw for the body kick, and Hill's going to be southpaw all the time, so he's not going to have that same read on that body kick. Yeah, I'm going with Jamahal Hill.
Yeah, same.
Should be a banger, though.
Yeah,
looking
forward to it.
Great card. Okay, before we wrap this, give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Packed Coffee, PACTcoffee.com. Make sure you check them out. If you enter the code Outlawed at checkout, you'll get one of the V60 coffee drippers. Get on there, get on the website, PackedCoffee.com. Set up your subscription. You can alter it, change it, pause it, whatever you need to. Decaf or regular. Whoever drinks decaf, I don't know. But get on it. Honestly, this is the end of the last bag that we've got, and I am waiting for some more to be delivered. It is fantastic coffee. Oh, and it's always great to know that the farmers are getting the lion's share of the profit, because they're the ones that do the lion's share of the work. So, packedcoffee.com. Make sure you check it out. Outlawed at the checkout for a free V60. And Unbound Marina, our good friends at Unbound. If you enter the code Outlaw at checkout, you'll get 15% off. And if you spend over $100, which of course you're going to because you're going to want half of the website, you will get free shipping in the US. So check that out. Give our sponsors a little support and support the podcast. And thanks for joining us, Jamie. Nice one.
Nice one.
I'll see you next time.
Take
Catch
care.
you later.